Hello all and welcome back to the Zander channel. Here I help people get out of their head and establish and maintain our connection to our heart. Even if you're a man, this is my path to happiness, joy, and love. I'll also post on how to get out of depression, suicide, stress, anxiety, and other lower vibrational energies on your path to your happiness, especially during the times of true or fantasy crisis, such as the time of the posting of this video. I invite you to subscribe and join me in this journey towards peace, joy, and happiness. Now, this video is on the question, does the mind wandering make you unhappy? So when are we happiest? Well, researcher Matt Killingsworth says it's when we stay in the moment, in the now. What are the major causes of human happiness? Right? It's an important question, but one that science has yet to fully answer. Science learning a feeling is, well, kind of counterproductive, but they do try. And most of us need scientific proof about our feelings. Interesting. Now, we've learned a lot about this demographics of happiness and how it's affected by conditions like income, education, gender, and marriage. But the scientific results are quite surprising. Factors like these don't seem to have a particularly strong effect. Yes, people are generally happier if they make more money rather than less, or are married instead of single, but the differences are quite modest. Although our goal in life often revolve around these sorts of milestones, my research is driven, Matt's research, by the way, is driven by the idea that happiness may have more to do with the contents of our moment-to-moment experiences than with the major conditions of our lives or the goals. It is the journey, not the destination. It certainly seems that fleeting aspects of our everyday lives, such as what we're doing, who we're with, and what we're thinking about, have a big influence in our happiness, and yet these are the very factors that have been the most difficult for scientists to study. A few years ago, Matt came up with a way to study people's moment-to-moment happiness in daily life on a massive scale all over the world, something we'd never been able to do before. This took the form of trackyourhappiness.org, which uses iPhones to monitor people's happiness in real time. So, Matt's results suggest that happiness is indeed highly sensitive to the contents of our moment-to-moment experiences, and one of the most powerful predictors of happiness is something we often do without even realizing it: mind wandering. So here we are. Be here now. As human beings, we possess a unique and powerful cognitive ability to focus our attention on something other than what is happening in the here and now. A person could be sitting in his office, working on his computer, and yet he could be thinking about something else entirely. The vacation he had last month, which sandwich he's going to buy for lunch, or worrying that he's going bald. Oh. Now, this ability to focus our attention on something other than the present is really amazing. It allows us to learn and plan and reason in ways that no other species of animal can. And yet it's not clear what the relationship is between our use of this ability and our happiness. You've probably heard people suggest that you should stay focused on the present, the be here now, stand in the moment, be present, as Ram Dass achieved back in 1971. Maybe to be happy, we need to stay completely immersed and focused on our experience in the moment. Maybe this is good advice. Maybe mind wandering is a bad thing. See my previous videos on mind wandering. Now, on the other hand, When our minds wander, they're unconstrained. We can change the physical reality in front of us, but we cannot change the physical reality in front of us, but we can go anywhere in our minds. Just look at the Sci-Fi Channel. Since we know people want to be happy, maybe when our minds wander, we tend to go someplace happier than the reality that we're leaving behind. It would make a lot more sense. In other words, maybe the pleasures of the mind allow us to increase our happiness by mind wandering, but only with positive thoughts. Too much emphasis and programming has been through the media and the shows that you and I watch on a regular basis, hour by hour, minute by minute, day by day, that it's all negative, which programs you into the thought patterns of negative thinking. We need to switch that to positive thoughts. When was the last time you heard a good news story? Or a regular news story? Bob woke up this morning, had a great breakfast, kissed his wife, got dressed, got a shower, fantastic day, shaved without cutting himself, saw his children off to school, got in his Mercedes-Benz and went to work. Came back home after a fabulous day at work, did his job, kissed his wife hello as she got back from her work or wherever she or he was doing, and they had a fantastic day. When's the last time you heard about that on a television program? Never. Never. Because people are chemically programmed in your mind through your feelings, through the programming of the media, the hypnosis of the media, to push you into, well, I know that I have it bad, but at least I don't have it as bad as those people over there experiencing this negative thing. That's the programming that we have received since birth, and it's from our parents, and I love my parents, but they were also programmed by society and the media and their parents. So they wanted to resolve the debate with some data. So he collected some data at trackyourhappiness.org. How does it work? Well, the app sends people a signal at random times of the day, right? Ask them questions about their experience at the instant just before the signal. The idea is that we can watch how people's happiness goes up and down over the course of the day and try to understand how things like what people are doing, who they're with, what they're thinking about, and all the other factors that describe our experiences relate to those ups and downs in happiness. We might eventually be able to discover some of the major causes of human happiness. That'd be nice. Now, this essay by Matt Killingsworth is based on a 2011 TED Talk. In the results he's going to describe, he will focus on people's response to 3 questions. The first was the happiness question. How do you feel? On a scale ranging from very bad to very good, not 1 to 10. Okay. Second, an activity question. What are you doing? Now, on a list of 22 different activities, including things like eating and working and watching TV. And finally, a mind-wandering question. Are you thinking about something other than what you're currently doing? People could say no, which means, in other words, they're focused on only their current activity. Or yes, they're thinking about something completely different. They also asked the topic of those thoughts is pleasant, neutral, or unpleasant. And of those yes responses are what we call mind wandering. We've been fortunate, or they've been fortunate with this project to collect a lot of data, more data than its kind has ever been collected before. Over 650,000 real-time reports from more than 15,000 people And it's not just a lot of people, it's a really diverse group of people from a wide ranging from ages 18 to 80, wide ranges of incomes, education levels, marital status, and so on. They collectively represents every one of 86 occupational categories and hail from over 80 countries. And what did they find? Dun dun dun! Wandering towards unhappiness. First of all, people's minds wander a lot. 47% of the time, people are thinking about something other than what they're currently doing. Consider that statistic next time you're sitting in a meeting or driving down the street. How does that rate? Depending on what people are doing. When we looked across 22 activities, we found a range of from a high of 65% of people who are taking a shower or brushing their teeth, to 50% when they're working, to 40% when they're exercising. Then this went all the way down to sex, when 10% of the time people's minds are wandering. In every activity other than sex, however, people were mind wandering at least 30% of the time, which I think suggests that mind wandering just isn't just a frequent thing, it's ubiquitous. It pervades everything that we do. Now, how does mind wandering relate to happiness? We found that people are substantially less happy when their minds are wandering than when they're not, which is unfortunate considering we do it so often. Moreover, the size of this effect is large. How often a person's mind wanders and what they think about when it does is far more predictive of happiness than how much money they make, for example. Now, you might look at this result and say, okay, on average, people are less happy when they're mind wandering. Okay, got it. But surely when their minds are straying away from something that wasn't very enjoyable to begin with, at least then the mind wandering will be beneficial for happiness. Well, as it turns out, people are less happy when they're mind wandering, no matter what they're doing. For example, people really don't like commuting to work very much. It's one of their least enjoyable activities. Yet people are substantially happier when they're focused only on their commute than when their minds are wandering off to something else during that commute. This pattern holds for every single activity we have measured, including the least enjoyable. Amazing. But does mind wandering actually cause unhappiness, or is it the other way around? It could be the case when people are unhappy, their minds wander. Maybe that's what's driving the results here. Now, we're lucky in this data in that we have many responses from each person, and so we can look and see, does mind wandering tend to precede unhappiness, or does unhappiness tend to precede mind wandering? This gives us some insight into the causal direction. As it turns out, there's a strong relationship between mind wandering now and being unhappy a short time later. Consistent with the idea that mind wandering is causing people to be unhappy, in contrast, there's no relationship between unhappy now and mind wandering a short term later. Mind wandering precedes unhappiness, but unhappiness does not precede mind wandering. In other words, mind wandering seems likely to be a cause and not merely the consequence of unhappiness. How is this? Well, Matt seems to think a big part of the reason is that when our minds wander, we often think about unpleasant things, our worries, anxieties, regrets. These things are in the future or in the past. The past has already happened for your regrets. Anxiety about the future is being worried or hold yourself in fear for something that has not even happened yet. You're imagining something's going to happen, thereby putting yourself in fear. Hasn't even happened yet. doesn't exist, yet we do it all the time. These negative thoughts turn out to have a gigantic relationship to unhappiness or happiness. Negative thoughts, unhappy. Even when people are thinking about something they describe as neutral, they're still considerably less happy than when they're not mind wandering. In fact, even when they're thinking about something they describe as pleasant, they're still slightly less happy than when they are not mind wandering at all. The lesson here isn't that we should stop mind wandering entirely. After all, our capacity to revisit the past and imagine a future is immensely useful, and in some degree of mind wandering is probably unavoidable. But these results do suggest that mind wandering less often could substantially improve the quality of our lives. If we learn to fully engage the present moment, we may be able to cope more effectively with the bad moments and draw even more enjoyment from the good ones. So, once again, smash that like button and subscribe below. If you learned something, agreed, or found this interesting, comment below to ask an educated question that you want to hear the answer to. If you love my sexy face, hit that notification bell for my next posting herein. Also, please understand, an idea for you to ponder upon. No disease, including cancer, can exist in an alkaline environment. Dr. Otto Warburg, 1931 Nobel Prize winner for cancer discovery. Go vegan, go raw, go away from meat. Are doctors improving your health or their wallets? And why are you taking medical and health advice from people who have a vested monetary interest when you're diseased? Much peace, much love, much happiness, all to all of you. Good day, happy day. I'll see you in the next clip.